Hello and welcome to Love Island the Morning After, the only official Love Island podcast. I'm joined this morning by my two podcast besties, Indiyah Polack and Sam Thompson.
I just clapped. I said, that's bad, isn't it? I shouldn't have done that, to be fair.
Very bad.
Guys, are we going to have a really, 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 really good podcast?
100%. Yes!
Come on!
Now, in last night's show, we saw the results of the first time ever that we have been able to talk to the villa. It's never happened before. Each couple got to ask two questions, one about themselves and one about another couple within the villa. And then we answered on Instagram polls, and then the answers were given to them in the villa, and it caused some chaos.
Actually, me and you answered the polls.
Yeah.
Indiyah's
India's above voting.
I'm actually going to put my hands up and said I supported, and I watched Sam vote, and he asked my opinion, and I said, yes, no, here, there, everywhere.
We had to rock, paper, scissors on one of them.
Yeah, we actually did. We did. And we were right.
Amy was the first. Amy was so fast. She was refreshing the Instagram feed on
I was
the Love
going,
Island
come on,
Insta.
Purple Turtle, come on, Purple Turtle. I am passionate about using my right to vote with everything.
Same.
Yeah,
I'm with
And
you.
that's why whenever we watch an episode and it says at the end, now it's your time to vote, I'm reaching for my handbag because I have to have my say.
Oh, God.
The answer is... yes, 70%. Yeah! No, 30%.
Catherine and Omar, now they asked two questions. They asked, are we compatible? And the answer was 70% yes, which I think was actually the best couple-related percentage out of everyone. Like, are we surprised by that?
I'm not actually surprised. I feel like Catherine and Omar, we don't always get to see a lot of them, but I feel like from what we do see, it's 100% working. So I'm actually really happy with that because it's 100% from me anyways.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was a solid score, especially when like everyone else is getting sort of your 52s and your 48s. To get a 70, you know you're sitting there and you're looking at everyone and be like...
Yeah, that's a pass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pass.
Dude, no, that's a final.
Yeah.
That's a final.
That's a final.
I think as well, though, it's all in the question, isn't it? And just asking, are we compatible? Other people are asking questions like, will we work on the outside?
Yeah.
Will the age gap be a problem? You know, do you think we're a weak couple and stuff? Like, no, just say, are we compatible? It's a simple yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I really like is I like the contrast between the standard Catherine and Omar, are we compatible? And then they just go for blood in their next one. And they're absolutely savaging Casey. Is Casey there for clout? And it's like, oh, it's kicked off.
He survived. He actually got a 56% no. Are we surprised by that?
I think what they're forgetting as well is that Love Island is a show that does divide the nation. And, you know, every night when we watch the same piece of footage and then we look online, 50% of people think one thing and 50% of people think another thing from watching the same piece of footage. We talk about it on the podcast. Some people agree with us, some people don't. And that is just the nature of the show.
Yeah, but see, it's not so much I don't think about the percentage scores. He's so angry that they asked the
They
question.
put him in that position.
Yes.
And then he said to Catherine, I'm not going to let you speak.
Which I thought was bang out.
Yeah, that was full on.
We based it off the game.
Yeah, but we've cleared it up in the game about
no,
clout,
but
so
the only reason...
don't just look at Catherine, talk to me. Like,
let me speak.
no, I'm not letting you talk.
Why?
Well,
That's
I'm
very
talking.
rude.
Because I was talking.
We
Gosh, we
Yeah.
were like, I was even like, well, who was Casey talking to? You know, like,
With the hand down like that.
What's
Well,
going
who?
on here? To be fair, I feel like Casey's made it clear, like, look, it's been put to bed. I know I've been here 3 times. I'm not here for the clout. However, if you know you're not here for the clout,
Why are you so angry?
why are you so angry?
Yep.
Like, you know that you love Gabby. Well, on your way to loving Gabby. Things are working out well. It really shouldn't matter that much. It should not.
I have to wonder and speculate. And look, I'm coming in. I'm only here for a week, so I can say whatever I want. You know, these guys, you know,
We're also going home at the end of the week, to be fair.
Yeah.
So-
they can get hammered online. For me, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to say what I think.
Go ahead.
I sit there with Casey and I go, dude, I'm starting to see a trend here, a trend that I don't particularly like, which is you're sat there with Gabby, and I'm a big fan of Gabby's, but you're sat there with Gabby and you're literally being like, oh, let's ask this. And he's being like, oh, it's almost good content, right? And he's like trying to be mischievous with her about what question they're going to ask. Someone does the same question back to him, he's absolutely fuming.
You could put cheeky, mischievous in his Speedos winding everyone up Casey and that Casey from around the table in like a photo lineup together and you wouldn't say it was the same person.
Yeah, you wouldn't. And
his face changing.
But that's
he gets
interesting.
very cold.
And I just think that if you're sat there with Gabby, but like behind closed doors, but we see everything.
Well.
And you're being like, hey man, I think we should be a little bit like dicey and like, be really good content. Be like, I think what he's really saying is be good TV, right?
Yeah.
If you're saying that and then they ask that question about you and you go to Catherine, who, by the way, is so sweet, and you've been like, I'm not going to let you talk. Omar should have said more, by the way.
Yeah, but I think they were all caught off guard.
Yeah,
because
fair.
at the end of the day, everyone's been going around that table, giving home truths, telling it like it is, and generally just asking questions that have not sprung from nowhere. Casey, we're asking this question because you have been in the villa 3 times.
Yeah.
It's facts.
Yep.
All we can do is ask.
Do you know what I really like as well is when someone asks a question and they think that the answer is going to be like no from the public and they're going to get vindicated for asking it. When it then flips, they go, well, now you know the answer.
Yeah.
Well, now you're happy we asked it, aren't you? And it's so
Yeah.
funny seeing the roller coaster they go on.
Talking of a roller coaster of emotions, next up we have Ekin-Su and Curtis.
Oh.
Obviously, they were feeling a bit vulnerable today anyway because the dumping the night before last, and they didn't know, whether it was something the public weren't seeing. So this could hopefully bring some clarity for them. So they asked, do you think we're a good match? And the public said 58% no.
Why do you think that is, though?
Oh, Indiyah, please.
No. Like, other than, like, the obvious, but, like, why do you really think? Because I feel like they've had their arguments, but what else do you think is missing between them?
I can just speak like a viewer, right?
Go on.
Okay, I love Love Island. I've loved it for so many years. I've seen it all. And I really think that when you plead to the cameras so much, like almost doth protest too much.
Yes.
And they sit there by the fire pit and they're like, we just love each other so much. And they might as well just look at the camera and be like, please keep us in. I think they're saying all of the things they think that the public need to hear to make them go further. And I worry when I look at Ekin-Su, I like her. I think she's great TV. Yeah. When I look at her, I go, you care so much about what the public think that it will ruin your evening.
Yeah.
But if you actually were really bonded, you'd be like, look, it sucks. Obviously it sucks, but like, whatever, we're having a great time. And she gets so affected by it.
Yeah.
I think that's why the public are like,
I think from the public's point of view as well, we only had half an hour to answer and there was a lot of questions and it was a very quick like yes, no answer. So I don't think people think too deeply.
Amy,
No.
we thought.
We
We
thought-
were all sat around
But
here.
you got 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah, we had the full 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Other people may have had 4.
Because we
Do you
were
know what I mean?
deliberating. We were debating.
We were debating. But I think people don't sit there and think, well, I'm not sure. I think people are like, are we compatible? Yes. Are we good match? No.
Yeah,
Are we
yeah.
this?
Face value.
Yeah. But maybe Ekin's kind of viewing it from a situation like the public are kind of like your eyes and ears that you aren't seeing. We're watching them from the bedroom and watching them from the fire pit. We're watching them
We're
in the hideaway.
omnipresent.
Yeah, we're getting like 5-6 angles in an hour.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're just sitting there with your friends, having a chinwag, you're not really knowing what's going on around the villa. So maybe she's seeing it from that point of view.
But do you think they were slightly spooked by the fact that Harriett and Ronnie got more votes than them in the vote?
Do you know what? Yeah, I think they're spooked by a lot. If I'm honest with you, I think Ekin is spooked by a lot. She's overthinking everything. And Curtis is having to put out fires all over the gaff. Just being like, no, we're fine. No, we're fine. No, we're fine. I just think the moral of the story is stop trying to explain to people how compatible you are.
Yeah.
Just get on with
Show
it.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just enjoy yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
There hasn't been that many votes this series. So there hasn't been a marker of, like in a normal summer series, there's a lot more public voting. And
Yeah.
you can see who's in danger and who's popular and who's the top 3 couples. The only real things we've had have been top boy and top girl.
Yeah.
So we haven't really had any sort of outside sort of markers. So I think this has been a really good challenge to sort of get us inside the villa.
Yeah, and we haven't been able to do that properly for a long time. So
Yeah.
you had your
Your
say,
say.
and it was great. And do you know what? Ekin-Su had her say, didn't
Yeah,
she?
she
Because
did.
then, they both did really, because they asked about Sammy and Luca, didn't they?
Which I think was a bit of a wasted question, if I'm honest.
Oh, I quite liked
But
it.
Sammy's not here anymore.
Yeah, but that's even worse.
And Luca said, he was like, well, I better go and get Sammy then.
Like, imagine Grace sitting there being
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
the public think that someone who isn't here
Yeah.
is more compatible
Yeah.
with the guy that I'm with.
Also, the guy that I basically told my man to never speak to again.
Yeah. We all saw the exit interview, didn't we, with Sammy and Maya, where Sammy sat there literally being like, yeah, if I'd come in first, it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Sammy was literally like, no, I reckon I could have had him.
I mean, it was only a 54%.
Now Omar and Catherine's percentages look great.
Yeah. No, honestly.
Yeah.
The finale is closer than ever, and with love on the brain for all of our islanders, the villa's staying fiery with pre-loved fashion. This week, with the arrival of our two bombshells, newly formed couples, Chugs and Danielle, Sammy and Luca, were taken on a romantic double date at the Vineyard, dressed to the pre-love nines. Danielle looked unreal. That rat and boa dress was made for her, styled with that Aphrodite Gucci bag, teamed with Chugs, subtly matching an OAS terry shirt. What a slay. A moment for Ekin-Su in that gorgeous Farai London dress. Is it just because yellow is her colour, or is she glowing with Curtis? Who wouldn't be happy with a man who knows how to rock an album called Work Jacket? It's safe to say it's been another week of pre-loved action. Need a date night fit for Valentine's? Discover your own pre-love style on eBay. eBay, sponsors of Love Island All-Stars. Next up, we had Elma and Sammy. Now, their question was very specific, so it was only going to go wrong in my mind.
You said that.
And their question was, does Elma like Sammy more than Sammy likes Elma? They could have picked, are we a good couple? Are we a strong couple? Are we compatible? But no, they picked that very strange question, and it came back 57% yes.
Elma's very out there. She's very lovey-dovey. She wears her heart on her sleeve.
Yeah.
And I feel like just because Sammy's a little bit more quiet doesn't mean he likes Elma a whole lot less. Although I do think Elma does like Sammy.
Elma does like him better, but that's okay. Like, when
Yeah.
I'd been with my husband, 5 weeks, I probably liked him more than he liked me. Hopefully now it's equal. Do you know what I mean?
What was quite nice is she likes him, it seems, more than he likes her, which I think has to be that way round if they're going to work with the age gap. If he likes her more than she likes him,
Yeah,
he's 23.
I get what you're
He's a
saying.
plaything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's toy boy. And I think that if it's going to work, it's good at least that she, at my age of 32, is more into him at 23.
Now, they asked a question to help others. They were helping others by asking, are Curtis and Ekin the weakest couple? And the answer was no, 65%. I mean, a good percentage. Obviously, it all kicked off.
What do you think?
I feel there's a slight spite behind the whole thing.
Oh, please, please, have a
You're
day
always
off,
going to
babe.
say that, mate.
Have a
But
day
at
off.
the end
But
of the
I
day,
do
you two brought
genuinely
these things
feel
on
that.
yourselves by acting
No,
in
but
that way.
I've just been asked how I feel, and I'm just saying how I feel. Feel out.
Do you think there was spite behind the question, or do you think they were truly trying to help the others?
100% spite. Because we have seen the whole relationship between Elma and Ekin. And obviously, ever since Ekin kissed Sammy in that kiss, I don't think Elma's really been a big fan. And quite frankly, I just don't really think the question was necessary. I mean, the public did turn around and say that, look, 58%, they're not a good match. However, 65% of them think that they're not the weakest couple.
When you're going through the polls,
Yeah.
you're not thinking oh, okay, well, I need to think of a weaker couple than
It's just
them
no.
while I vote. So I can definitely, they just click, the weakest
Yeah.
couple, no.
I really liked the chaos that the question sort of provided all of us. I think the people around the table enjoyed it. We had one of Luca's best comments. There's enough beef already around the table. Everyone was cracking up because I can't tell whether Curtis is actually annoyed or he's just saying funny things. Like when he said the Sherlock thing, we've all heard that saying, but everyone was creasing and it made me laugh because I was like, fair play. You're having an argument, but you're still the kind of guy that people are cracking up to. I think it's quite a nice
I think
trait
with
to have.
Curtis though, it's not what he says; it's the way that he says it.
Yeah.
We've had it the whole series. His little one-liners and
Yeah.
stuff, and stay beautiful.
You got a mention, sort of by
Oh,
proxy.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go and make some coffee
Yeah.
was Elma throwing
did.
that back at Curtis. And do you know what? It got to him. He went quiet. He went quiet and looked at the floor. And I was like, oh my God, Curtis, come on. It's been years.
Okay, next up, we have Gabby and Casey. Right, so they asked the public, do you think we will work on the outside? And they got a 57% yes.
Results.
Are we in agreement of this?
I think so, because
Yeah.
it's second really percentage-wise to Omar and Catherine, right?
Yeah.
In terms of
But 57, it's not 60.
just like what Amy said,
Yeah.
you guys are right when you both say it's all sort of I guarantee when we put this podcast out, right, you're going to get half the people being no, you hate this person. Oh, no, they're biased to this person. Everybody has a stan.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And that's why Love Island's so brilliant, because everyone really falls in love with the couple they like.
Yeah.
That's why, again, I think that Catherine and Omar was such a big statement.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're going to get that often. No one's getting 80. I
No.
can probably see that now.
Yeah.
Also, I think when you talk about people being divided over Love Island, I think there's certain people that if you met someone in a club and were with them for a year and then you split up, people would be like, oh, well, you had a nice year together. If you met someone on Love Island together for a year, they're like,
It was never true.
It was never true. These shows don't work. It's all fake on these shows. I think some people, when it's like, oh, we're going to work on the outside. No, you're not, because it's not real love. It's a TV show. Like,
no, that is
but
so
we
true.
know.
But hey, I guess that's the way it goes. Anyways, in good old Casey fashion, he asks the public, do you think Luca made the right decision in picking Grace over Sammy? Which I just think, considering how he behaved around the dinner table with Omar and Catherine asking their question, was a little bit like...
Do you reckon he got out in the moment with Omar and Catherine and then went, oh, I forgot I've asked that?
See, I would never understand that. We saw you try and like create chaos, which I'm glad you did, but like he can't take it.
You've got to be able to take it.
Physically can't take it.
Yeah. It was a 52% yes.
Yeah.
Which I think was probably a hard hit for Grace.
How do you think Grace feels? Because look, we've gone from Luca being like the favourite in the villa.
Yeah.
And then I think people like Grace. How do you think she is? I mean, look, you're both beautiful ladies, you know, she's obviously a beautiful lady herself. Does that knock your confidence a little bit where you're like, God, there's someone else that these guys want him with?
If Sammy was still in the villa, it would be worse. But I think at the end of the day, there's 5 days to go. She's there, Sammy isn't. I'd be a bit like, okay, cool. Well, right now, the door is locked. Do you know what I mean? It is done.
It probably still does make her feel a bit like, do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter how lovely or beautiful you are. You just want to be for your person. If everyone on the outside thinks that your person is more suited to somebody else.
Tough.
It's tough.
It's funny because when I started doing this, so like 3 days ago with you guys, I was like, yeah, Casey's probably my favourite. This week's been a big Casey week, I think. But you know, when he really hated Harriett, and I agree she shouldn't have said what she said about like shut your effing mouth, but you kind of said the same thing to Catherine.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you speak.
I'm just seeing a lot of inconsistencies here.
But that's the whole thing with Love Island. You can get dumped to hero, or you can stay in the villa long enough to become a villain.
Mate, it's Batman all over again.
And it's all about timing. It's when those votes come, when those dumpings come, depending on what you've done in those last 3 days. People have short memories.
Scott's the real winner of Love Island. He's not even there.
No.
Now, Indiyah, you know me, I love a bargain. In fact, if I can save whilst I spend, that makes me almost as excited as watching a recoupling.
Okay, I'm going to need some tips because serving looks on the pod is not cheap.
Well, ITV Ka-Ching is a brilliant new tool from ITV. Once activated on your web browser, it literally finds discounts across 800 of the UK's largest retailers whilst you're shopping.
Wow, I mean, is that going to be quite fiddly?
Not at all. When you're shopping online, ITV Ka-Ching will pop up whilst you're checking out. It brings you the best deals so you save money on your purchases.
That sounds amazing and very easy, but is it expensive?
Nope, it's totally free. You can use it on clothes, your food shop, and even trips abroad.
Okay, well, that's my evening sorted. Me and Dami want to book a new holiday, and that means we're going to have some more spending money to spend on some cute glasses.
Exactly. All you need to do is go to itv.com/Ka-Ching, follow the instructions to get it on your browser, and then shop away.
Harriett and Ronnie asked, were we right to give it a second go? And they actually got a 70% yes from the public.
Agreed.
Big.
You agree?
Yeah,
Why do you agree?
Because I love them. I think they're really funny together. I think they're a good couple. At first, I was a bit dubious. Is this all a setup? Even if it is now, I don't care. Set me up, baby.
Yep.
I love you.
70% say, but again,
That's
I
a lot.
watch them and I go, you're protesting too much. Because you know when it's like, it's just so good that the public see, like, why do you care so much about what the public think about you? Like,
Yeah.
if you're so into each other, I just can't understand that. That's why I quite like Catherine and Omar.
Yeah.
And people say, I don't care what the public think. If you were the kind of person that didn't care what other people think, you wouldn't be on Love Island. You
Very good
wouldn't
point.
be trying
Very
to get
good
on
point.
telly.
Yeah.
Like, we're all little sad children in our hearts that just want some love from the general public.
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
but I think that's why we fall in love with
Yeah.
people who at least seem like they're not as affected. Obviously,
Yeah.
everyone's going to be affected.
To an
We'd all
extent.
be affected. But like, I think that's why we as a viewer fall in love with the couple that are just into each other.
yeah.
When you're in the villa, that's where the whole sort of like secrecy comes from. You always hear the sayings of people going in the villa, oh, you forget the cameras are around, yada, yada, yada. And that's when you actually start to see people's true feelings and like their true emotions, their true reactions. Because after 6-7 weeks, you're really not thinking about who's watching because you're so deeply engrossed in your person. You're just so in that villa bubble. So I feel like when these questions start coming out and you're really focusing on what the public think, it's like, are you in a relationship with the public? Or Or are you in a relationship with your person?
I think they've all been really brave though, because I'd be like, did you like the shoes that I wore last night? Like, the question I'm going to ask is, and then they'd be like, no, and I'd still be like, oh, I don't like my shoes.
I was wondering, like, I don't feel like anyone, and it's great for us, but I feel like no one's asked like a fun question.
Yeah.
You know?
That just reminded me, was it last season, Matilda and Sean, it was like, oh, which couple has the worst dress sense? And then Matilda was so upset because she was like, I put in so much effort into my outfits. And you, with your sweets.
It was the neon yellow.
The neon yellow tramp.
Shorts.
She was like, you have brought us down here when I'm literally the fashionista of this villa.
But yeah, I wouldn't be able to ask anything particularly exposing of myself because I'm a wimp and I don't like to know the answer.
Well, you always know what you're going to get. That's why you ask something funny, right? Because comedy is the best defense.
Harriett and Ronnie asked, do you think Luca has Harriett's best interests at heart?
I know we squashed it.
Clearly not.
I feel like we're all on the same page when it comes to Harriett's question about Luca. I thought he handled it really well.
I think it's obvious to see that Luca is Harriett's friend. And he did come out shining in that question. He got a 67% yes. Now, I don't know. I feel like Harriett was maybe expecting a different answer. But deep down, she was glad that it was a yes. Because we did see earlier on in the episode, they did make up, they did hug and kiss. And Luca was like, you know what? I'll always have your back. And I think it's nice to see that, like, just because we are friends, it doesn't mean that I'm going to enable your wrong actions. And I feel like Luca really stood on business and made it very clear to Harriett, look, you spoke to someone very rudely last night. I don't agree with it. That's not how you should speak to people. However, that doesn't mean I'm not your friend. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes Harriett has a hard time sort of like knowing when she's in the wrong or, you know, just because I'm not sticking up for you in that way doesn't mean I don't have your back.
I think if I were Luca, I would be slightly frustrated myself because I would sit there and be like, you're still trying to tell me subliminally that I'm in the wrong. It's not the biggest deal. We've already said this. You shouldn't have said it. It is what it is. He even said, even Houdini couldn't have got you out of that. Like, what am I going to do? You're not a child. You're an adult. Like, just deal with it. And then, obviously, she kind of goes in again. And that's where I think he struggled with it because he was like, it feels like you haven't accepted what we were saying earlier.
I also think as well, that would have been one of those things that when it's just her and Ronnie sat on a daybed being like, hey, what questions do we ask? She's like, yeah, let's ask this to Luca. Let's see what people have got to say. And then as they sat round the table and she knows it's coming, she's like, oh, God. Oh, why did I do that? Why didn't I just ask if someone was a strong couple? It's so bad. Well, thank you, Sam, for joining us again, for lounging around with us. Will you come back tomorrow?
As long as you want me, I shall be here, ladies. What a great time I'm having.
And you can catch us on YouTube, ITVX, or your favourite podcast provider app.
See you tomorrow. Bye.